This morning I thought I'd try to compare what you can do in photogrammetry by doing some imaging of an art piece here that is behind me. And oftentimes it's difficult to capture an object like this because it is very thin and it's reflective and it's taller than I am, as you can see. So what I'm going to do is first capture it by walking around it with my camera and just kind of taking pictures I can from the ground. Then I'm going to go ahead and add a selfie stick and walk around it and take a lot more pictures, including those from above and around as much as I can from different angles. I'll show you here what it looks like up close. Just the camera around here. So it's a really neat art piece. It's surrounded by rocks, but it's really thin metal, and so really thin metal causes an issue for trying to reconstruct an object. You can see how thin down here this lower piece is, and you can see it's reflective. So the advantage of this piece, though, is that it does not move at all. It's pretty solid, and so that will be nice because we don't want anything to move when we're doing photogrammetry. Here we can see a model reconstruction using imagery captured with just the DJI Osmo Action 4 handheld. I walked around the object several times. You can see here that overall the reconstruction is not too bad, except for the area on the head of the bird and the tips of the wings. There's just not any imagery looking down to reconstruct those areas well. If you want to see the video that was used to actually pull frames from, it's at 4:14 on this overall video. Here's a model reconstruction showing using the DJI Osmo Action 4 on the end of the 6-foot monopod. You can see I was able to capture images from high looking down, and you can see we've cleared up the clouds of sky around the tips of the wings and above the head. If you want to see the source video that frames were pulled from to reconstruct this, that's at 6:52 timestamp in this video. Here we can see the model reconstruction with the drone captured video frames. Now we were able to get higher and look down better and have nice, very smooth paths around. That's because Keyframes was used that pre-programmed flight points, and the software flying the drone flew the drone very nice and smoothly in between. Here we have images that weren't log captured, they were actually processed, so we have more contrast. You can see this video frame where frames were captured at 15:25 in the video. This shows all the frames that were combined and then processed together. There's over 2,600 images, so we have lots and lots of frames of imagery. Now we did combine log data and process data. Probably we should have had those in the same space for the processing, but even with this you'll see that we do have problems in the model on the thin metal, regardless of so many frames of imagery. 15:25 you can see the frames that were used for that. Here we can see a view from one side, all 4 images to compare. The main difference being the clouds above the head that you get without taking imagery from above, looking downwards on the model for the processing. Sun's come back out. Alright, so I've got the drone up in the air, and I'm going to go ahead and use the pole and image around the art piece here to see how we can do. Here the drone is being flown using Keyframes feature, where I had originally flown the drone to various points and marked those in 3D space, and then here I'm sort of playing back those keyframes where the drone is then flying through a predetermined flight path. This is an advantageous way to capture video that we're going to extract frames from for photogrammetry, because the flight motion itself is continuous and it's nice and smooth, so we don't have jerky motion and don't have moments in time where the drone is sort of stopped and just sitting in a place, collecting more and more frames from the same vantage point that we would need to basically filter or cut those out before we ran the photogrammetry. So that's why this is nice smooth motion. The drone is only several feet away really from the object. It has a fairly wide angle lens. The flight path that is being flown here, I would have made it longer and gone around the structure a few more times, but unfortunately I filled up the number of keyframe points that I could define for the drone to fly in a single path. Anyway, the drone is nice and convenient for shooting from quite a variety of angles and doing it in a nice smooth fashion. One thing to note here is that the drone is recording sort of processed imagery. It's not in a log space like the imagery that was captured from the DJI Osmo Action 4, so the imagery here looks more contrasty, and the resulting model looks more contrasty. That's because in the reconstructions I didn't process that video first. One can take the resulting model itself and apply a lookup table or color corrections or things like that to the resulting model. So it's not a real concern, and it is probably better to capture the data in a log space because we do a better job at imaging these kind of bright reflections and stuff if we use a log capture. One thing, of course, with capturing with the drone, though, is that it takes more battery power, and you can't fly over people, and maybe you can't even fly a drone at a location due to some rules that you need to operate under. So drone capture is nice, and it's nice to capture imagery with the drone that could be combined with other imagery as well, just because it does give the ability to get certain higher vantage points. But generally, shooting low to the ground, it's easier and better to use a handheld camera. It is nice with the Skydio drone, though, because it does have really quite amazing obstacle avoidance, that you can fly it so close to structures like this and not worry that you're going to hit it and crash the drone and break propellers, things like that.